Good morning, it's Judge's Jules. It's a Monday, and here we have me and Simon. Hello, mate. How can I help
you? Lots of ways, Judge. Winners, I demand.
Yeah, so we got 5 for you. Well, 5 future winners, we believe. And how was the weekend, mate? It was a tough one, wasn't it? Some close finishes. It was one of them weekends, wasn't it?
It was a brilliant week. Saturday was tough. I'll come to one of the horses. That was my biggest bet of the year and a platinum bet. And unfortunately, as we'll go through, I think we're a shade unlucky. But as I put in the column today, Judge, there's been nobody talking about global warming at Redcar yesterday or Cartmel today. Crazy weather.
No, that's right. Well, that's a great little segue into what I think of my first one. My first jewel is a horse called Yukon Glen. I think we both know the horse very well. He's a 10-year-old now. He's trained by Jim Goldie. He just doesn't get his conditions ideal, and I think this horse has been lined up for the big handicap on Goodwood Week, where he was probably the unluckiest loser of the year last year. He ran in, so I get the right race at Newbury on Saturday, the big 2-mile handicap. And once again, this horse wants a decent pace to run at and better ground. And guess what happened? Didn't really get the pace to run at, and it rained hard, didn't it? And the ground changed to good to soft. Possibly even softer than that, but certainly was good to soft. This horse wants good or good to firm ground. He was out the back by miles. He literally was about a 3 or 4 length last all the way, and he ran on through beaten horses. Got hampered about the furlong pole, ran on into 8th. I thought it was another real nice run. His previous run, he had absolutely no chance. That was a massive pace bias run at Haydock, but he showed a lot more like it with his good runs at Ayr. On his previous run, he was 4th. This horse is now currently rated 98. I think after this 8th, the handicap has got to drop a 10-year-old at least another couple of pounds. And I'd be surprised he doesn't get into this Goodwood handicap off a mark around about 96. But last year, he was very unlucky off 102. And I believe this horse is being lined up for a prime run there. So I don't know what you think of Yukon Glen.
Yeah, I mean, the winner of that, Sweet William, was a horse that was in our Lucky 15, and wow, was he impressive.
Yes.
But yeah, watching the race back yesterday, yeah, I can see where you come with Yukon Glen. He's clearly, I mean, he was held up, pulled hard first couple of furlongs because of the slower pace. Wasn't his bag at all, but, Goodwood, they're going to blast, start there in a big field. He'll be able to lay up. I would imagine he's on a similar mark to last year. He may be even a few pounds below by now.
Yeah, he was 102 last year, so he's going to be going in there off a lower mark. And I can see him being sort of 20 to 1 come the, not the day. I think he'd probably be the sort of horse that gets punted. But it'd be a big price, and he's definitely handicapped. When he gets things going his way, he's got to be winning shortly, I believe.
Yeah, and he's been running with that race in mind, I would imagine, shall we say.
Yes.
So, yeah, Yukon Glen, and watch out for that winner, Sweet William. I don't think he'll get in the E-Board.
Yeah, that was impressive.
I don't think he'll get in the E-Board. But that carries me in very nicely to my first horse, which ran on Saturday at Ripon and was my biggest bet of the year. So it really pains me, but I'm going to put him up as an eye catcher. It was Chillingham who ran in the 4:30, and many of you watching, I know, were on the bet, and equally as annoyed as I was. I like Callum Rodriguez, and he's given this horse a good ride on a few times, but he's given it an absolute stinker on Saturday. Let's not get away from it. The race was won by Mr. Curiosity by a head from Chillingham. It was a photo finish. I'll just read what the poster put. Raced in second in a battle for the lead, led over 2 furlongs out, edged right, quick and clear against the rail over 1 out, faced challenge in the last 50 yards, headed final stride. 3.5 lengths back to a horse called Pride of Priory, which is a horse I think is very well handicapped for the Haggish Yard. You had Charging Thunder in 4th. Dark Jedi, which I know the horse you like, Judge, was back in 5th. Sarumi, the Hannon horse. This is the makeup of a good Class 2 0 to 105. Now, Chillingham has got beat. We can't get away from it. But he's got into a battle for the lead. I'll tell you what I think the idea was. I think that the idea was to lead and then slow this race down and keep a little bit up his sleeve. He's off 10 stone. He does like soft ground, but 10 stone in soft is going to take its toll if you go too fast. However, that plan went out of the window because a horse called Charging Thunder has really come out of the blocks. Chillingham's gone up the rail to try and lead and just not been able to. Charging Thunder has weakened and lost third in the end. He's finished absolutely knackered, and it's no wonder to me because he's gone very, very quick. Now, I make notes through the race, and I just wrote in capital letters, they're going too fast. I have no idea how Chillingham has managed to stay. The fractions are incredible, really. He's done really well to hold out and just get beaten in a photo. He did take a keen hold, but surely he should have let Charging Thunder just get on with it and just try and lead the pack behind. There was no way that horse was going to keep that pace going. But he's got in a battle with it. He's led 2 out. I don't know why he's been so hard on the horse to try and lead then. He's just completely knackered it. Now, Chillingham at this mark now is still a well-handicapped horse. I think he'll go for a big field handicap. The plan was the Ebor. If not, he'll go for a big handicap at Donny or York. And I think if he gets in the pack and settles, I think he's still a very, very talented horse. So I'm not giving up on him. Look, everybody makes bad rides. He made a snap judgment to not settle the horse and to go with the leader. Like I say, I think the plan was to lead and slow it down. He couldn't do it because another horse has flown out of the blocks. So don't give up on Chillingham. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong, and he's got beaten in a photograph. So that tells you a lot. He should have won. He should have won 2-3 lengths, and we'd have all been saying, what a brilliant progressive horse. Now he's got beat. People are saying he's not as good. He was overhyped. Shouldn't have been odds on. All the negatives have come out after the event, of course. But I wouldn't have liked to lay him on Saturday with what we knew going into the race. So, if you did and you got lucky, fair enough. But this horse will be back. I suspect Callum's had singed ears in the paddock, and the trainers had probably a long chat with him yesterday about how he could have done things differently. But there you go. He's ridden the horse well before. He's a good jockey. He just made some tactical decisions that went badly wrong on Saturday. So Chillingham, keep the faith. The losses are lent.
Yeah, he's still progressive for me, and he's, like you say, I think it'd probably go up a couple of pounds, maybe because of they finished 3.5 lengths clear. I like you, I think he's still going to be well handicapped off his new mark, and he's well up to winning a decent handicap this horse, isn't he?
Yeah, and had that horse not started and he'd have led, I'm sure he would have stacked him up and kicked clear, but that's not how the race panned out. That's why the top jockeys, they've got to have a plan B and C in a race. And when something like that happens, you've got to change tactic and say, right, this horse is going too fast. I was maybe told to lead. I'm not going to destroy my chance by getting in a battle. I'm going to settle this horse in front of all the others and pretend this one's not in the race. That's what I think a Buick or
especially Ryan Moore's riding out of his skin at the moment. So
Ryan Moore has done. Yeah. Now Callum aspires to that level, and I'm sure he's learnt from that. And the good jockeys are the ones who learn from the bad rides. So there you go. He is a good jockey. He just made a bad error, and we paid for it, I'm afraid. But the horse will be back, and I'm gonna stick him in my tracker in capital letters.
Well, yeah, you've got a good one there, mate. My second one also ran at Ripon. It ran in the. There's some decent racing at Ripon on Saturday, wasn't there?
A very underrated track.
The runner was in the 3:56 at Ripon, and the winner was Baltic Voyage, and a progressive 3-year-old for Ray Beckett. That was the winner. The runner and the tracker horse for me here is Poet's Dawn. He's an old boy now. He's an 8-year-old. Tim Easterby. His horses are going quite well now. Tim, he's got his yard firing now. Just getting ready for the York meeting coming up. But he's banging in the winners at the moment. But this horse now, he pulled quite hard and got a good position just behind the leader. And Baltic Voyage just travelled down a little bit too much legs for him, if you like, inside the final furlong. But turning home, I actually thought he was going to pick him up for a little while, and so did the betting market. But this horse is running off 69 here. Probably going to go up a pound or two for coming second. His last win was off a mark of 71. This horse loves Ripon. Nearly all his best runs are at Ripon. Prefers a little bit of cutting the ground. It doesn't have to be soft. But I'm sure Tim will get a win out of this horse in the next 2 or 3 runs. He's one he's definitely you want to be keeping a close eye on when he gets his conditions to suit him, but especially if he does go back to Ripon again shortly. He knows how to win this horse. He's also got form at Beverley, as it happens, I believe, and you can see him running at one of the northern tracks there. And this horse will be winning in his next 2 or 3 starts. So he's the next one in the tracker, Poet's Dawn.
Yeah, I thought you were very, very unlucky because I know you tipped this horse to run in a 0 to 80 up north into a horse like Baltic Voyage, who is well above this grade. He was sensational. I mean, you ran a race that would win 9 out of 10 Class 4s at Ripon. You can count yourself very unlucky there, Judge. I mean, the front 2 need to be back next time, but especially on soft ground. I think that, they're both ground dependent horses, so I'll be very, very careful. It's like with a caveat, isn't it? Because we may start to get red hot weather again in a week.
Right.
So if Poet's Dawn and Baltic Voyage are out and people go, oh, they ran great races last time, I think they are both horses that big round actions need to get the toe in. So they're sort of like, with a little caveat, get the tracker in, but they're both ground dependent. And a standard 0 to 80 at Ripon is at this horse's mercy on soft ground, isn't it? It really is. Yeah. Because he's ran into one there. And also his 8-year-old, they're going to have to get on with it, aren't they? This is the year to get the wins out of him. I don't think there'll be any long-term plotting up with this one.
No.
No. Interesting
race.
He's
a bit like Bronzehill. He does exactly what he says on the tin when he goes to Ripon and places like that. So
exactly. Yeah. So, interesting race there. And it is a course where the form's underrated. It's a good track. Good racing.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I'm going to do something I don't think I've done in all our many episodes, Judge, and that's not tip a winner for anybody cleverly shouting out. It is to tip a horse that finished last. The 3 o'clock, the Hackwood, won by Comanche Falls, who's found his form back again. Cold Case 3rd, Diligent Harry 2nd. The Irish Raider Chartage didn't like the ground. But, it looked like a good race. Now, there was a really big gamble. I've got a contact in a major bookmakers. It's not you, Judge, in a different one. I'm not going to get you in trouble. And I was informed at sort of by like 12:30, 1 o'clock that some serious money was going on this Rohan. Now, it is an Ascot specialist. It had run a decent race at Ascot. Adam Kirby, who rides it all the time, got a lot of stick at Ascot for being too far back. I actually think it's just a horse that has to be ridden for one little surge at the end. Now, they must have felt that, for instance, Lezu was pulled out on suitable ground. A lot of the TV reports late morning were saying rain coming, blah, blah, blah. I think David Evans, the trainer, has told the connections right. This horse is working well. The heavens have opened. This is the day to get stuck into it, or words to that effect. But if you look at the times, Judge, it was a bit misleading. It didn't get heavy. In fact, I think it was Eddie Fremantle was there. He said that they were like good in places still, good to soft. I'm sure it was him that was there, or whoever was the pundit. Now, as they've gone down at the start, I almost started to get a sinking feeling because I thought, well, this isn't Rohan's ground. If he's going to win at Newbury, he's going to need it heavy. And of course, he was outpaced. Everybody said he flopped. I'm not sure. I just think this horse has got one run in him, and the heavy ground slows the others down, and he passes them late on. That's why he's got such a good record at Ascot, because of that stiff finish. When the horses are tiring, he just keeps going and claims them. If you watch the last race at Ascot, he must have passed about 9 horses in the last half furlong, but he's just too far back. Now, the gamble on this horse, I think everybody who took part in it is going to go, what a load of rubbish. He finished last. Hugely disappointing, they said on Racing TV. But I just think this horse needs heavy ground. Now, he's going to get his ground, and the form figures are still going to say last. He's going to be overlooked by a lot of people now. I just think he might surprise a few, and I'm certainly going to back this horse the next time he gets on soft ground. He must be working well for the 2 gambles last time. They must feel they've got him right, but the conditions just haven't gone in his favour. But he is going to get heavy ground. Might not be for a while, like we're saying now. This might rain might hang around. If not, late season, he's definitely going to get it. A race like Ascot, Champions Day or whatever. I just think he's going to be underrated now. People are going to think the horse has flopped twice. I can't see there being any more big gambles on him for a while, but I will be on Rohan. He may have finished last, but do not give up. He needs that soft ground.
He's a horse I really like, and to be honest, when he gets back to Ascot, unless the ground's rock hard, he's got a fantastic record. His previous run, when he, like you say, did pass a load of horses inside the final furlong. They actually didn't go very fast that day. They actually went. It's unusual for a sprint. You know, they didn't go very fast, and the pace held up, which doesn't often happen at Ascot. They often come back in their laps. And this horse now, he's run very well there, and he ran with promise on another occasion. I think there's a winning in shortly, and I believe he won quite impressively. I don't know if it was at the Ascot meeting or just before the next big Ascot meeting. He started favourite for the sprint, didn't he, last year? There, the Group 1 race, or one of the fronts. And now all of a sudden you can back him at 5-1 to win listed races. He's still pretty much the same horse when he gets everything in, you know, all the conditions in the right place. And you know, he could even drop into an handicap now. I see he's rated 108. He might be around about 107, 106 after this. You know, good quality handicap. There might be a 0 to 105 he could get into. You know, you could see him running well in the Stewards Cup, perhaps even. You know, if they went really hard. You know, he's that good. You know, in that grade, because he's pretty much a Group 1 horse when everything goes right, especially at Ascot, isn't he? So
be interesting in an Air Gold Cup or Hot Weight, wouldn't he?
Yes, that'd be another race you could see him doing well in. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I like the horse. And the other thing is, because he's trained by Evans, he's nearly always a good price, isn't he? He's you know, if it's trained by John Gosden or the more fashionable stables, they tend to get a little bit overbet.
And he'll run 50 times a year because he's trained by Evans.
Yeah, he's a lovely. What a horse to be, own a horse like that. So I think he won the Wokingham twice. Certainly, I love horses. He's a bit like Summergand, isn't he? He's one of them ones you just always pretty much get. If you owned him, you're going to be all at the dining at the top table pretty much most times it runs. But my final one ran at Newmarket. And speaking of sprinters, I've gone for a sprinter there. It's ran in the 3:05 at Newmarket, where I'm pleased to say I did tip up the old court specialist there at Equiano Springs, who was an impressive winner. But the horse in third there, I believe last year I put this horse up, and it still hasn't actually won, but this horse now is showing a lot more like it. Capote's Dream is the one that I like. Finished third. It challenged the if you like, on the outside of the track, and that was no good on the day. You wanted to be over the far side. The first and the second debate pretty much led until the last 100 yards, ran his race. That likes the July course as well. Capote's Dream finished third, and then you had a 3-year-old behind him in fourth in Almaty Star. Justice Spark was disappointing, the other 3-year-old in the race, but this horse it stayed on again. His previous run was a little bit disappointing over 7 furlongs at Newbury, but he tends to keep getting hampered. He's not had the right good run of things. And on his previous run also at Newbury, he just got touched off by a horse called Treacherous, who was an unlucky was a loser in the week at 100s on. This horse now for Mark Roundabouts, he's running off 76. He's well up to winning what I would call a sort of your bog standard 0 to 80 midweek cut type of race. I can't see him being good enough to win up in class. But if he drops into a 0 to 80 anywhere midweek, I think he's got a good record at Windsor. I think this horse now is one to be with on his next 2 or 3 starts. A cut would be handy. I think most of its form is actually better. It hasn't got to be soft, just preferably not really quick. I do think this horse is getting lined up for a win now. So my final one is Capote's Dream.
Yeah, he lost the race in the first furlong, didn't he?
Yes.
He's got a habit of that. You're right, if he sorts that out, he'd be a very well handicapped horse. I thought your tip, Equiano, can go in again quickly under a penalty. He looked really back to his old self, didn't he?
He did, especially back at the July course. He's fantastic there, isn't he, at Newmarket?
Yeah, and if Tom Quealy can win on him, only joking.
He's having a good season, Tom, actually.
He is actually. He is actually, yeah. That must be 2 winners.
He's lined up with Gary Moore, isn't he? He's doing quite well with it.
He's doing all right. Yeah, it was a good ride. Yeah, that could be a decent little race. I do worry. Just a personal thing. I agree with you as well, handicap, but infuriates me horses that continually are slow out of the gate and don't learn the lesson. He's got a real habit of doing it, and he Capote, because he was zooming home, wasn't he, in that last 2 furlongs?
Yeah, probably a stiffer track, mate. You know, Newmarket does. You often pace holds up there, doesn't it?
Get him to Beverley.
I could do him with a slightly stiffer track where they come back to him.
Email the trainer and get him to enter at Beverley. He'd love it.
There's got to be a race there for him, yeah.
And when you actually go to Beverley in the sprints, I mean, I don't know whether today's meeting is on. I doubt it.
It's past.
It's past, is it?
Yeah, it did.
It's going to be a glue pot there. If you ever go and it's soft or heavy ground, just go and stand by the furlong pole. Even in the sprints, you would be amazed how slow the horses are going.
You can see why a lot of 101s get chinned, can't you, there?
Yeah, you can. And you can also see why if you've had a bet in a sprint or a 5-6 furlong race, you're never out of it at Beverley. You get a lot of things happen in the last furlong where you get a horse swoop from last to first. So, yeah, that would be a good course for him. Yeah, take it steady today on that heavy ground there. That's going to be some meeting. Yeah, I can see that. Like I say, I'll get him in the stalls at home and start working on him, because if he ever gets out on terms, he's about half a stone well in, isn't he?
Yes. It's definitely a win or two out of him, but he's quirky. But I think it's nearly always a good price, you know, sort of 6-8 to 1. So he's gonna find one of these handicaps shortly, I believe. And when everything's in his, all the cherries drop down, all the things are in line.
Exactly. Yeah, good stuff, Judge.
Well done, mate. And I think that's everything then, isn't it? We've got the 5 horses for the people to follow now, and I'm sure there's some more winners to be had out of them.
Yeah, keep an eye on these.
What do we say, Simon? What do we say? Well, during the week, what are we going for?
Be lucky.
Be lucky.
Cheers.